Good morning. We're here today for the public negotiation sessions for the Laredo Fire Collective Bargaining Agreement. It's September 29th, 2022, and it's approximately 11:35 a.m. We have already done the sign-in sheets, and we have each taken our sign-in sheet. There's a couple of things that from the city side we wanted to discuss and present at the table before we move it on to you, because it's going to affect our proposals as the day moves forward.
Okay.
With regard to, I know at the end of the day, we had some discussions about the grievances that were related to the chief's policy on secondary or outside employment.
Yes, the three grievances that were pending at that.
Yes, they were pending at that time, and I know that we had discussed a resolution, and we were discussing it at the table. I believe, when I've spoke to the chief, I believe that there has been a resolution for those three grievances, and I just want to make sure that I'm correct and place it on the record that there were three. Is that correct?
Yes, that one was actually, I believe I signed off on it that day. I was agreement on that.
Okay, and that was your grievance?
Yes.
Okay, so the Carlos Lozano grievance has been dismissed,
Yes.
okay. And then there's two other pending grievances. One was Mr. Chapa's grievance, and the other grievance was Mr. Delgado's grievance,
Yes.
is that correct? What's the status of those grievances?
Yes, we spoke to Oscar Delgado. He said he was just retracting his grievance as well. I guess whatever.
Well, it wasn't a retraction, it was resolved.
Resolved,
yes.
okay. So, because I believe that there was a revised policy that was issued by the fire chief. And along with that, there was also an issue about a memo explaining the policy. That memo is also revised.
It's already been revised. I think
Okay.
it's still, I'm not mistaken, I think the chief was still planning to put it out, but when we talked about it, it basically resolved the
Okay.
issue. We actually had a meeting and Joaquin was here that day.
Okay, yeah, and I think the chief said
Following day, I think.
he wanted to talk to you this morning about something before you
Yes,
put the
because
memo
there was
out.
an issue, I guess with the wording of it, but it did reflect how the previous memo was. We cleared it up, and he's gonna make sure that that wording is cleared to his command staff.
Okay,
So that basically addresses and clears up all the grievances, so they're being resolved.
okay, so those two grievances, once that memo is issued, should be resolved and dismissed as well.
Yes.
That's the Chapa grievance and the Delgado grievance.
Yes.
Okay,
I'm not sure if he did mention, I guess before we move on, there
Sure.
was also another pending, I'm not sure if he told you about it. There was a pending grievance, and actually, in reality, had nothing to do with the wording. We hadn't proposed to change any wording, and this was concerning Mr. Juan Cruz. This grievance was basically, he was ordered to quarantine, even though it wasn't, it was in COVID. He said, hey, I'm okay to go back. You're telling me it's not COVID. They're like, no, you have to quarantine, but you have to use your own leave. So that grievance was filed. In my opinion, it really has no hindrance on the contract itself. That was actually filed before we started meeting, if I'm not mistaken.
okay, so that's a contractual grievance related to a person's own leave
Yes.
issues. It's
Yes.
not specifically to a provision of the contract,
No.
right? Okay,
So that's what I'm saying, like that one, and I understand how you said that because those three pending grievances, it was gonna hinder. This one, in reality, has no problems with the wording of it. It was just the carrying out of the procedure of what was done and what he was told to do.
okay. So he's alleging a violation of a provision of the contract, but as it affects him personally,
Yes.
not as it affects the entire group or the reading of a specific provision.
No, and actually, since that occurrence, it's occurred 2 other times, and that was resolved by basically just the correction of how the leave was, how they were supposed to be either placed on leave or basically allowed to come back, and it was up to them if they wanted to, stay away from the job, just not to get anybody else sick.
Okay. Let's see. And that one's still pending? What-
That one's still pending
Do you
because
know
actually
what,
it
where
was,
it is in the process?
I'm not sure, because I know I delivered it to the city manager's office, except I believe there was, might have been some kind of mix, because I think that was towards the end of Mr.
One key
Selma's.
left. It
Yes,
can be found.
It should, based on the process as stated in the last contract, it should be going straight to arbitration if there's no formal response from city management. So it will be going to arbitration, and then we can, talk about the merits of that at that time.
Okay,
But I agree with, Mr. Lozano that it does not affect
Yeah.
what we're doing here at the table
Right.
today, or any issues that have been brought up during these,
Yeah.
negotiations.
okay. And that's why we had not addressed it, as we did, as when we were speaking of the grievances last time and today, that's why we hadn't addressed it.
that, and I was led to believe that it was gonna be resolved in a certain manner. It apparently didn't, and we are going arbitration, and
Okay.
that's why it hasn't been brought up.
Okay,
Like I say, it doesn't, Joaquin says it doesn't affect, from our part or in reality, the department's part where if something was done, that would affect the contract.
okay. And we've already tentatively agreed to Article 6 on the rights of management, because I know that was one of the big issues in those grievances, right?
Mhm.
We already have that on September 15th. And I guess what we need to do is just check with the chief whenever he intends to issue the memo. It's probably gonna be today,
It should be today.
Yeah.
and then once that's issued, and you're able to review it,
Mhm.
the grievance will most likely dismiss their grievances, right?
Yes.
Okay, we'll just keep updated on that.
And I say, I mean, even on the SOP, there was a little bit of change from what was presented to us. We talked about it and we were in hashed that out. So
Okay,
it has to be no reissuance, so it's just a clarity
Okay.
between the command staff.
all right. And then my understanding is that because I know it was brought up earlier about union business or using ABL, or because you receive a stipend from the union or some sort of money, that that particular policy with regard to outside employment does not apply
Yes.
to union business or your ability to conduct, to do the union stuff such as being here today. Is that
Mhm.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Last time, we left off at the end of the day, I believe, and I just need to confirm, I have them prepared, but I believe that we had tentative agreements on 2 articles, for no changes.
Mhm.
And that was, Article 12 to 6. Oh, you know what? I only gave you 3 copies because it's 2 pages.
Article 12, I know, we talked about adding something to it at the end, and I know it's something that I emailed you on it, remember?
Oh, I didn't, you know what? I did see that email. Okay, let me just pass it out and then we can discuss that on the record. And if maybe we can work out a tentative agreement on that. Here, there's 2 pages of each. Let me pull up so I've just prepared the tentative agreement on the staffing of companies for no change, which leaves the endeavor to staff and the desired strength with the engines, crash, fire and rescue, the aerial ladders at 4 firefighters, emergency medical services at 2 firefighters, emergency medical technicians or paramedics, fire prevention and fire investigation at 4 firefighters. And just on the bottom, I just reformatted because it was kind of difficult the way to read the way it was, but the wording is the same. Let me pull up.
I have some copies on it, so I'm out.
Okay,
To read the present, the final proposal on that one.
So we need to change also the 2018
oh, yes, we need to,
to 2022.
Well,
Or whatever it is.
not
It-
exactly, I just, it's,
It
I guess
kinda
it's
is-
historical marker, just at that year, that's when we got to 407. Since that technically is not changing, it can maintain.
Um,
I mean, I think it could, or either way. right?
Because it was
No.
2018 contract.
Mhm.
What you're saying is that because you have, the number 407 was established in 2018, 2018 should.
Yeah,
remain.
it's not, since there's no increase, there's no date to it that needs to actually change that wording.
Or are instead of will be. If that's gonna, if it's 2018. 's gonna
We can
stay.
just take off staffing levels will be at 407 FTEs, period. And that way it just continues.
I think he wants to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
to memorialize the 2018,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
or staffing numbers
Will
will
remain
remain
unchanged from 2018
at,
at
from, as
407.
20.
Okay, so we just need to update it
Yeah.
to reflect
verbiage,
and
yeah.
leave the 2018.
Because I know there was an issue, and even when we were trying to recalculate all the numbers to make sure of the adequate staffing, the previous numbers of where they got it from wasn't in other contracts. It was kind of, some of them were there, some of them weren't, so this kind of just, kind of earmarks it. So as of 2018, we've been at 407. Of course, with the addition of different companies, he'll automatically increase.
Okay.
And by the time.
Tony, do you remember when you emailed it to me? I thought it was Monday. And I can't find
I
it.
believe, let's double check.
Let me look.
Tuesday, no?
September 23rd. At 2:15.
Oh, okay. I wasn't going far enough. So that was, you did it on Friday.
Yes.
Do you have print? Did you say? Oh, here it is.
Yes, ma'am. Just wanna pass them out.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
that's exactly what you have here.
Mhm. Yes, I guess this one is just to reflect, whenever we add additional units, what manpower, I guess is specifically for each unit, ambulances, we're doing nine FTEs, and for engines or ladder trucks, we're doing 15, yes. We
Okay.
included, also EMS supervisors, which is 3 individuals whenever that unit is implemented, or a district chief, 3 units as well. 3 FTEs as well.
It's warm in here.
Mhm.
Okay, and the language reflects on
The
this.
current practice is the adding of new, or activation of new units.
It doesn't currently add to any staffing or anything that we currently have, it's just, additional units that get implemented in the future. I know it's the current practice that's already followed, but we just wanna, I guess, get it down in writing, just for any future, I guess, references.
But also in the district chief, if we add one additional company, that's not automatic, right? Not the district chief part.
If you add a district chief, I guess a new district chief, there's 3 shifts, right, so it's 1 individual, so it would automatically be 3.
It'd be 3 as well.
2114 or 2113.
So it'd be 1 chief for each shift.
2111, 2112, 2113, if you add 2114.
Right, but then
It
let's say
would
we
be-
add 2, let's say we add one in north and one in south, you don't need another district chief after that.
Well, no, it's because every district, I guess,
You
to
know
your
what I mean?
understanding, the city can decide to activate 1 chief if it's for a specific division,
Right,
but when it comes to the line of an activation of a 4th district, it would carry 3, because you would need 1 for each individual shift.
I guess on the line, I guess we can maybe specify it,
Can you
we
maybe
can
that-
specify it to where if it's a operational chief here, 9 to 5, they're allowed to add 1, right? But if it's out on the line where you need 1 per each shift, it would.
Trigger 3.
It would trigger 3.
we can.
The same thing with the EMS supervisor, if you activate a new unit, I guess this is more considered units instead of the
Right.
rank itself. So a district chief unit, a fourth district, things like that, where it encompasses three. Because EMS supervisor basically works similar to districts, except they're more spread out. So the same thing, once a fourth one gets activated, that would consider another three, because now you're looking at three different shifts.
On the engine and the ladders, it's 15 because you're taking what, 3 shifts?
It's the three shifts, there's 5 per shift.
And then this, but this already is 4.
Yes, so because the current practice, and that's kind of goes back to what our original,
It accounts for, vacation, sick leave, the individual being out and
I
stuff
got
like
you.
that.
And that's what threw me out, because it's 3 times 4 is 12, are we adding, so we're trying to add the additional for the people that are on leave.
yes.
Is that the same for the ambulance, for the 9?
Yeah, it's the current practice, I guess anytime a new ambulance is added, it's currently 9 individuals. Suppression, right? Would you consider suppression?
It's suppression, but you can't say suppression district chief, because that technically is only,
What if you just put district chief?
it falls under.
And I guess, looking at the wording at the, at the beginning of that modification in section E, and it specified each additional unit apparatus, so I think it encompasses the district chief, you're adding that additional unit, so it would count as 3, right? So I don't think it would necessarily, I guess, have anything to do with a 9 to 5 position, right? So it's just an additional unit, it already specifies it there, I don't know if we need to add it.
So it'd be an operational out in the field or out in the
Mhm.
line, not somebody
And a specific
administrative
unit, yeah, you,
for a specific unit. And currently, the practice of the city has been that any additional unit or apparatus has been fully staffed with additional FTEs, is that correct? So we're not in a position right now where we've added a unit or an apparatus and we didn't add FTEs, they've always done that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is just to ensure that that continues to happen?
Mhm.
Okay, and it has never been an issue?
No, it's a current practice, I believe, Ms. Cayo said it in the second meeting when we were covering this, where that's the current practice anyways. They just had never been put down on paper.
Okay,
There also, it was brought to my attention, there was a discrepancy on the tentative agreement on 12.3.
oh, yeah, I was just
Where-
looking, I missed the
D&E.
D and E are missing.
Yes.
That was a typo when I was messing with the formatting,
No.
because I was struggling on the, on 12.1.
Mhm.
The original formatting had columns and it was messing the whole thing up.
It's because I guess it was done on a different, when it was.
Version, right?
When it was no, on a different version, it was actually inserted as a chart.
Oh,
Because
I see.
that's what I would have the same problem, and I would see that it would always highlight the whole, as a
Yeah.
whole. It wasn't actually,
It's a table inside.
yeah, but it doesn't show up on my version of Word now. It just shows up like columns, and if I tried to, I had to retype it, and when I deleted the column, it deleted a bunch of things I didn't realize it deleted. But the intention, that needs to be corrected. The tentative agreement was the intended of no changes, the current contract states D and E. But we will look through this and consider this. Now, this doesn't necessarily add an additional cost to the contract,
No.
other than it obligates the city to budget not only for the apparatus, but for the FTEs that we're talking about, which are required to run and supervise that apparatus out on the line. Is that correct? Okay.
And then this is also a reference for any, future administration with city or with the fire department when they ever get to adding new units of how it was hired in the past, or why it was hired in the past. Like I said, that was the past practice of it, and I guess just to put it down and
Okay.
to continue as a reference point.
And the addition of the unit doesn't mean the replacement of a unit. It means an
No, the
entirely new.
activation of a brand new
right,
unit,
A
yes.
brand new unit.
Especially as we go forward and we potentially might have 2 more fire stations come into place as you create the station and man it with the, or equip it,
Mhm.
then you need the FTEs
To manage.
yes, so that we don't,
Do you want to
All
deplete the
levels.
current,
Right.
in other words, run skeleton crews throughout?
And I think it's a practice that the city already does, right? As far as budgeting, whenever they anticipate a new unit or a new station or anything, it's something that they.
That needs to be part of the consideration. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right.
And that's also why Tony, when he was rewriting it on the, just above the district chief, why he put unit apparatus. It refers to the activation of actual physical unit instead of, I say, you're gonna add an additional training captain or training chief or whatever rank. That can be activated one at a time because that's understood it's one slot. The unit itself, since it runs on the shifts, it would automatically trigger, ×3. So if it's one district chief, it'd be ×3. One MES captain's ×3.
Because of the 3 shifts,
Because of 3
right?
shifts, yes.
Okay.
I like that you put, this is not all inclusive, so it's like not just because of one, everything
Yes.
needs to be activated. I
Yes.
like that.
Okay. Thank you for that. We'll work on that one. And get back to you. Oh, the other tentative agreement, I believe, and I need to, make sure I didn't mess up on the formatting here, but it was the Article 18 uniforms. I believe you proposed no change on that.
Yes. Because we came to the understanding that the city was gonna address that issue with the pricing of the uniforms as our uniform orders come out.
6 copies. We'll use one of those as a original, and I'll use one of mine as the original.
Okay.
This is just no change. But we need to, and just for the record, if there's any kind of typo, the intention is no change, and it's whatever is currently in the contract. But we can look through it just to make sure.
No,
I don't believe I had a formatting issue on this one, but we never know. I'm gonna keep one. I'm gonna keep an extra one. I'll do a double check on this one myself.
And when it comes to the uniforms, I don't know if the city's ever looked at it. I think one of the things that I've noticed, right? I guess the Gauls contracts with Casa Raúl as far as like boots and stuff for us. All they really do is, I guess they're the middleman, right? But they just jack up the prices. I don't know if the city could ever,
Go
is
directly.
it a possibility to just go directly, for us to go out directly with Casa Raúl and just pay them directly, you know, they're a local vendor, right? Benefits the economy, it benefits is, you know, buying from somebody, you know, that has an interest here in the city, that, you know, maybe they turn a better profit by, instead, we're just, I guess, through this middleman, you know, paying extra
You
money.
pay for the middleman,
Yeah,
yeah.
paying for the middleman.
So the uniforms are based on, an RFP for best price, and then there's quality also included. So whoever best of, best is, and then there's an alternate in case falls does not, so it's basically based on price. That's how they come in.
But, and I guess we were trying to address initially was because we weren't getting the better price. You know, specifically from Casa Raúl, they were, you know, just using numbers, $120 for a pair of boots, whatever brand of boots they are. But because our order status was going through Galls would automatically put them at, per se, 140, where automatically they're jacking up a $20 price where it could have been paid to our local economy. You know,
Okay,
there was a lot of discrepancies, even from their own website of their uniforms that they were you know, 511 tactical t-shirt, tactical gear, the t-shirts, they were on their website, like I said, a 3-pack would come out to $30. When we would order, it'd be $35. There was a constant markup on all our equipment. So that's where the $600 no longer extended to the full extent. It was constantly, we're paying basically an upcharge for the same product that they're providing, not because they're in the middleman, just the fact of they already have this and we're paying a
all I
premium.
could say on this one is we'll look at it, we have to follow state law and procurement.
Yeah, on the procurement.
Is there anything being done right now about looking for another vendor as far as for?
All of it goes to procurement. Basically, I'm not sure when this current contract expires, but there's extensions, renewals, then whatever the date is.
And as
There's an
I,
exception
yeah.
for locals, but I think it's 2% or 5%, I'm not sure what it is. Do you remember, Omero?
I don't remember what it is, but
But there's a local discount for if we want to go, but I don't know what that
if
is.
we work with a local vendor,
If we work with them.
but definitely the thing is they have to also submit in the RFP. That's, you know,
To exercise it.
I think I know at this point, right, we're under contract with whatever entity, but maybe in the future, is something that we could possibly look at where, you know, allow firefighters to maybe purchase directly with Casa Raúl. We know they provide a lot of our footwear, so maybe in the future, is something that the city could consider.
but that goes back to the procurement process where, because we can't just
They
say,
don't
yes,
submit.
you can go buy it there. They have to submit in the RFP process. They have to submit to be, what's it called, the best and responsible bidder on that process.
Maybe we can encourage Casa Raúl to submit.
You sound like a commercial.
yes, and currently, I know that the other contract is current. Any communication with the city with regard to any problems that you're having with that is imperative to us, making sure that we fix those issues or address those issues directly with the vendor. Okay. So. Okay, so we have the proposed tentative agreement for no change to Article 18 on uniforms, and we submit it for your consideration and for execution of the tentative agreement if you agree.
January.
There we go. Okay. So we've executed a tentative agreement on Article 18 on the uniforms with no changes. The next item that I have I have a proposal on Article 20 promotions. There should be 6 copies. Okay. On Article 20 promotions, this is, promotions is set forth by Chapter 143 of the Texas Local Government Code, all the promotional procedures and eligibility. This article changes and revises.
Just give me one.
Do you need to take a break?
No.
Okay. This article in the current contract just changes or makes changes to whatever's required by 143 at this point. Items 20.1 through 20.7 remain the same. The first change or proposed change is on 20.8. And that number is the same. I don't know why it turned out red, but that was another one of those formatting issues. Excuse me. But on 20.8, one of the things that the fire chief wanted to do in this particular provision is emphasize experience within the promotional procedures. The reason for this is because when you have experience, you have more competency. This goes to the ranks of captain and above, which are supervisory ranks. Those are ranks that supervise people, and it would improve the department in terms of, it would be somebody with a little bit, or it encourages and promotes more experience. The first change, on the first sentence, it said will earn 1 point. That was just changed to a numerical number 1. It was previously indicated as an I, so that's just a correction. But as it goes through, the first sentence says, effective upon the execution of this agreement, each firefighter will earn 1 point for each complete year of seniority in the rank held at the time of the promotional examination, with a maximum of 5 points, and we added for the ranks below captain. For the rank, then we added this, or proposed to add this. For the rank of captain and above, the maximum amount of points will be 10 points. And it continues, everything else stays the same. A firefighter who scores a 70 or greater on his or her exam shall immediately receive their seniority points. For this purposes of this section, both parties waive their rights and obligations imposed by Chapter 143 of the Texas Local Government Code related to seniority points. The second proposal change, or the second proposed change is on 20.9. It has to do with the sources and the source materials for the exam. Currently, it says for promotional exam purposes, there shall be no more than 3 source materials. The fire chief will select 2 source materials. The third source material will be selected by mutual agreement of the fire chief and the association. Each promotional exam will consist of 30 questions from each book selected by the chief and 40 questions from the source material that is selected by mutual agreement. The chief or the city proposes to delete this current last sentence. The department's standard operating procedures will not be included in the promotional exams. The city believes that from an operational standpoint, that especially for promotional examinations, as you're moving up the rank, that is extremely important that the firefighter is familiar and has knowledge of the department's standard operating procedures in terms of that helps make sure that the operations are efficient and that they're working properly, and it makes for a better department. 20.10 stays the same. We propose to add a 20.11. Firefighters appointed to the rank of captain and above after the effective date of this agreement. And so this doesn't affect anybody that's already in this position. It's any appointments that occur after the effective date of the agreement. Shall be required as a condition of maintaining the rank to obtain a master structural firefighter certification within 36 months after being appointed. Firefighters who fail to complete this requirement within the specified time period shall be demoted within 30 calendar days after verification by the chief of the firefighter's noncompliance. Firefighters shall be demoted to their previous civil service rank and seniority. A master's of structural firefighter certification or that requirement would ensure that the higher ranks of captain and above that are in supervisory capacity have the education and training that would improve the operations of the department and the supervisory capacity of the people of the firefighters being promoted. We believe that 36 months is reasonable in obtaining that. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the fire department allows these opportunities and there's reimbursement for this. Is that correct? No?
Not specifically for this. Would you have more information on what it entails to be able to, I guess, obtain this certification?
So that is actually set forth. We don't put those requirements. Can provide you with that information. But it would be the Master Structural Firefighter certification that is subject to an ad. It's the same one as that you get for the ad pays.
Okay.
That's the one you're referring to.
Right, that's the one, and that's, I think that's the proper name, and if we need to just fix the name on that.
I think, like, let's say, for example, you have to meet certain criteria to be able to obtain your master's, to be in the department within so many years, unless, or you are not able to obtain it at all. I think it's
There's.
some college credit.
Oh, here,
It's-
yes, I do have some notes on that. I think the master's requires 160 hours of college work, 18 of which has to be fire-related, and 12 years as a firefighter on their service time clock.
So I mean,
And
I guess-
that's, it's gonna cause a big hindrance on the operations of the department, because some guys that are coming in have no college credit hours, 18, 19. They make the rank of captain without ever attending college, performing their duties here, learning or not. Once they promote to the rank of captain, to obtain 160 hours,
What was the number of hours? I don't, was it 160? I thought it was less.
Huh?
it's, that's what I'm saying, I'm just repeating.
Oh,
what she
and
said, 'cause
maybe
if I'm
I
not
wrote it
mistaken,
down wrong on my, I can pull it up and we can
it's
provide a
60 it's
printout of
60
that.
colleges from
Oh,
not-
60, I'm sorry,
It's
60.
60 college credit with an additional 18
Fire science.
being fire science, so it could.
Oh, I thought, when I looked at it, I thought that it was 60 college credit, 18 of those 60 had to be fire related.
No, it has to be 60 college credit hours, 18 structural firefighting, and the qualification of 10 years, 12 years.
I think it's 12 years. We can, it's set out, we can print that out just for everyone's, so everybody knows what that one is.
I can look it up right now on TCFP.
Yeah, I think this was a big burden on the firefighters as far as, being able to, I guess, finance their own education, being obligated to go back to school, right? Having the time to go back to school, and like, for example, my case, right? I've been in the department for 10 years. I'm about to promote to captain. I can't even do the certification because I haven't been in the department for that many years as a firefighter. So
So you, how long would you have been in the department when you had the ability to promote up to a captain?
it just depends on the
It
individual. and the
it depends on how the
situation.
cycles land.
Okay.
Some are given every year, depending on
Testing.
when the test dates. Some actually go a lot longer, also depending on appeals process. Some of those lists are active for actually more than a year. Well, not, they're active from a year, but from the actual test date, so somebody can make the rank of captain a lot sooner than somebody else. Like he states, he wouldn't meet the criteria qualification and actually going against 143 the way it's stated right now. Because
How much would you I'm just trying to get an idea of what it looks like practically
There've
it's,
been guys that have made captain even at 9 years.
at 9 years.
because the way it works right now, according to the state statute, is 2 years at the next lowest rank. So we've understood that also from 2 years from graduation, a firefighter can take the promotional exam for a fire assistant driver. From then on, it can be 2 years to driver, 2 years to captain. So if everything were to line up right, they could make it within 10 years, falling underneath that requirement.
Okay.
Beyond that also, give me a second.
We can look into it.
Yeah, we can keep talking about it,
Okay.
you want to just keep going
And,
through it.
and one of the things, for instance, if we were looking at somebody that was promoting into the rank of captain at 9 years, we've proposed 36 months, which is 3 years, which would equal the 12 years, to be able to obtain the master structural firefighter certification. So that's something that would probably take a little bit longer. That would be something that we could practically consider, if we add an additional year. I think that the idea here is not to punish anybody or keep anybody from being able to promote. It's to incentivize that once the promotion happens, that we have firefighters in the rank of captain and above to continue their education and continue raising their certification. So that's really the idea behind this. It's not to prevent, it would not serve the interest of the department and its operations to not have people promote. I think that that's the natural flow of what should be happening. So the idea is an incentivization to educate and have a better certified rank and file, especially up in the supervisory ranks. And we'd be happy to further discuss this and talk about ideas. And one of the things that I know that the city is doing is being proactive and providing training opportunities and developing a succession plan so that there is movement up the ranks and that we're able to, hold the academies, fill the academies, move the people who have been here up. It also incentivizes retention and move up the ranks, and we have a much better educated and certified rank and file. Anybody else?
No, I mean, that was it. That's a higher quality of work.
I mean, I think that we're all for having a better trained firefighter, right? But I think especially, I guess, looking at this requirement, right? I think it places additional burden on the firefighter to be able to attain these things when we welcome the trainings. And I think it's something that as a department, the fire chief has, within his power to be able to, educate the firefighters with. It's something that we agree with, and I think it's something that not necessarily because you get a certification, it means you become a better firefighter, right? So I think you become a better firefighter by, being out on the field, going to the calls, learning from your peers, learning from your superiors. I think, having something like this where, you're specifically making a person go back to school to be able to obtain these, I think you say it's not a punishment, right? But I mean, I guess there is a punishment, right? Because if you don't do it, you get demoted.
Well,
One of our
and
concerns.
yeah, and what we're incentivizing experience, like you said, and education and certification. The timing is not really the issue. We just want to incentivize and make sure that the ranks of captain and above that are in a supervisory capacity have, have better certifications, have better education, have better training. And currently, this is something that the Laredo Police Department employs in their own contract in order to maintain an effective supervisory rank, the effective supervisory ranks. So it's something that it's something that promotes a better firefighter, a better employee, and a better supervisor, which then flows down to a better work environment, better operations.
And not only that, but you're balancing a professional firefighter with the elevated responsibilities of going into those managerial roles. In addition to, I want to add that, and I know that most of our police officers and some of our firefighters, there is, the state of Texas also compensates the cost of the higher education at Laredo College and also at TAMU. So I know some of your colleagues have taken advantage of that program.
There was a program that was offered by the city many years ago, and it hasn't been implemented.
Those firefighter science are no longer.
This is a cost of firefighters' own pockets, it's not something that, I know you guys have tried many years in the past, but they haven't been able to recoup any of those finances. And I think overall, the firefighters are already incentivized to get that certification, because it's an additional percentage, right? Because for the master certification, that's when you get capped at that 10%, you get an additional 2% from your advance. So I think the incentive is already there for fighters to get that certification.
And explore the education incentives that the state of Texas also offers. So there's free education for firefighters and police officers, first responders through the Laredo College and also through the university. It's there, because I sign off on them as the HR director. Mm-hmm. I know police really takes advantage of that benefit.
I know that to go back to college, they're not reimbursed, it's specifically out of firefighters' pockets. They have to pay for
Also, the big issue to this is the department is currently already training their officers as they're being promoted. They already come out, once they make the rank of driver, make the rank of, well, you didn't have the assist, you didn't have, you didn't have this? The assistant drivers have to become
Certified.
certified, what's the actual title?
Driver.
No, but pump
Those,
operator, pump operator. They have to, they're made to go through that class and become that certification. The drivers and the captains are being made to become instructors. We've drastically increased our instructor certification, and they're being trained, through our policies. So the department's already, going through that process. The people that are promoting are already becoming better certified, better well-rounded people. The thing about it is that this demotion process, it's actually addressed in 143.045 of the Texas Local Government Code. So it's not tied to a promotion, it's just demotions in general.
I knew it. Have it up. So, let's see, we have 143.028, which is the eligibility for promotion. That's what sets forth when a firefighter is eligible for promotion. I mean,
That's not directly addressed in the
Yeah.
promotion, but the demotion, because it's being put in here,
on 140.
143.054. Says here, the department head must include the recommendation for demotion, the reasons the department head recommends the demotion, and the request that a commission order the demotion. The department head must immediately furnish a copy of the recommendation in person to the affected firefighter or police officer.
So,
Stated in C, the commission may refuse to grant the request for demotion.
so that, 0.54, not 45, right?
54, I'm sorry.
143.054
54, yeah.
demotions, that's actually under, subchapter D with regard to disciplinary actions. What we're talking about, this is not under a disciplinary action, this is with regard to actual promotions and the eligibility for promotions, and under subchapter B, which talks about classification and employment. And so what the parts that we're looking to, on the, this talks about promotional procedures.
Mhm.
This talks about chapter, which is addressed by chapter B, classification and appointment, which is 143.021 through 143.038. This talks about eligibility for promotion, promotional procedures, and this is what, within this, what we're proposing to establish is that you have the ability, through 143 and the changes made to 143 through, on the promotional process through this agreement, a firefighter appointed to the rank of captain or above has the ability to be promoted, but is given a certain time period, whether it be what we propose 36 months or whether it be 48 months, to complete a requirement for that promotion. And so it's directly affiliated with the promotion, and it's not part of a disciplinary process. So that 143.054, that's a separate issue that goes to the disciplinary article that we have in this contract. So just with regard to the law, that's just that 143.054 does not apply in this promotional process that we're discussing for the eligibility.
But we're going above and beyond what the state statute recommends, or what they specifically addressed, for the purpose of what exactly? Because our officers aren't being trained properly, or they're not coming out trained properly? Does that not fall back on the department's responsibility for having them properly trained? Because,
So what we're negotiating right here on Article 20 and proposing is something that is allowed under Chapter 174, the collective bargaining statute that's been adopted by the city of Laredo, which allows us to make changes to 143 requirements is set forth, including subchapter B of 143 classification and appointment. And that's what these things do, like the articles already in here are things that we're negotiating and have agreed to better the department. So yes, there are some things in here that go beyond what 143 has established because we have negotiated for them and we have agreed to them in contracts. So that's why we're putting it on the table, because that's the purpose that we're actually sitting here, you know, through 174 to negotiate changes to the 143 requirements. And our purpose is to create a better environment for training and experience, a better supervisory staff and rank, and a better department overall.
And I think we're all in favor of having better training on things, right? And I think a lot of the times our members do go through a lot of certifications, and a lot of those certifications are, you know, within our working hours, right? So we go to classes, and just recently, you know, I obtained my instructor certification, right? But I guess what this would basically make the firefighter do is, you know, everybody's has different things going on in life, right? Different circumstances as far as, you know, what they have going outside. Sometimes our firefighters are having to work, you know, 2 jobs, 3 jobs just to be able to make ends meet, or just because of the cost of living in Laredo and property taxes and, you know, cost of living or the high home prices. So I think it basically puts I guess a constraint on our guys to have to go to these classes, to go to school on their own time, when, you know, at the same time they're having to deal with family and kids, you know. So I think we'll look at it and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
so I guess just to be clear, what issue is it currently trying to fix?
It's not, it's just an incentive.
But isn't the city also proposing to remove the incentives? So to require more
We're
and
not
to lessen
proposing we're not proposing to remove incentives, we're proposing to restructure the ad pays, if that's what you're referring to. And
Doesn't it
and
go
there's a
hand in
lot of
hand?
things that you all have placed on the table that we have tentatively agreed to, that clarified or formalized some past practice that the city is not required to formalize or anything, you know, because if past practice has its own set of elements legally that it has to meet. But there are items that we have already tentatively agreed to that make this a better department and make it a better environment for the firefighters and make it a better department for the city. And that haven't addressed a specific issue that we're dealing with, you know? So the purpose of being here is not, this is the problem, let's address it. You know, we're looking to, okay, what can we do to make this a better department? And that's why we're just proposing it.
That's what I'm saying, and referring to past practice, this comes nowhere in play with any past practice that's being conducted in the department. So it's.
So, but we're negotiating.
Yes, I
a
understand,
contract.
and just to make it clear, I
Right.
mean, you're stating that the city has agreed to things to clarify on past practices, what-
On certain things.
on certain things.
Right? That
There's nowhere in any past practice that the city the
Right.
department has conducted. So
And-
just to be clear on that, what we were asking for is something that was already done throughout. What you're asking for is to completely revamp a whole process that we've been following, you know, according to state statute.
We're,
Just to be clear on where we're each coming from on certain instances.
so past practice, yeah, but let me just say this real quick about past practice. Past practice is a legal theory and requires legal elements. The obligations that the city has in the collective bargaining agreement are set forth in this collective bargaining agreement. Sometimes there are practices that go beyond the clear language of the contract that are more generous. We're not allowed to take in a minimum or to take away or not fulfill an obligation. But there is an ability for the city, anytime that it can, and anytime that it so benefits the firefighters, to be more generous than what the collective bargaining agreement holds.
Mhm.
That in of itself does not create a past practice, that doesn't create a contractual obligation, it doesn't create something that now because we did something that was more generous than this, now we're stuck with it. That wouldn't be right, that, because that would create a chilling effect.
Mhm.
You would have a city that would be hesitant to provide something more generous, and that's not what we want on either side. So I just want to say that when we're talking about past practice comes into play when there is some sort of ambiguity in the contract. So that's why I say it's a very legal issue, and those are fact-based and very situational based on a certain incident or situation that happened. That's why those grievances are filed, and those individually go to arbitration, and they're looked at for the facts that surround that particular issue.
Can I ask you a question? Could you move on to 20.12?
I think that we need to caucus first.
Yeah.
We need to, I've been asked by my team to caucus very quickly on this issue, and so we're gonna caucus for about 5 minutes.
5 minutes, really fast.
And then we'll come up, because we haven't moved, yeah, we need to move on to. Okay, we're back on the record. We were just talking about Article 20 promotions on the incentive on, or the, excuse me, not incentive, on 2011, the requirement of a master structural firefighter certification. I'm gonna get some more information on this that I need to share, but I did get this information that when you come out of the fire academy, that the city of Laredo pays for, correct?
Yes.
The cadets do not pay for the fire academy. The
No.
city of Laredo actually pays them a salary to attend. You actually get out of a firefighter receives 42 hours of college credit for EMS, and there's 23 hours of college credit in the fire portion of that academy that would count towards that fire-related requirement. Also, there are tuition exemptions available with the colleges, is that correct, Linda? And the firefighters have the ability to do their online classes at the stations. I think that's something that is a practice and that has been allowed.
Now, to clarify that, the coming out of the academy, it is recognized that they have hours, but it's not through an accredited college, and these college hours have to be accredited in order for TCFP to recognize it to get your master's. So there is a conversion there, and the conversion has a fee to it, and it's a kind of a hefty fee.
Like what kind of a fee?
Depending on if it's a full load or less, I mean, I think like 3/4 of the college credit, whatever the college hour would be.
Oh, 3/4 of the college hour, whatever. Okay. Well,
So
we'll
rough estimates, I think
we'll get more information on that,
if
because, so you're saying that the college hours that
to
you.
convert them.
for it, you have to convert them.
Okay,
There is very few people that either they went through paramedic on their own, or there was an academy where the city lost their coordinatorship. So they actually enrolled their cadets, well, not cadets, actually, they were line personnel.
here
So-
they don't have you don't have a partnership with the school? City of Laredo?
We just signed a memorandum of understanding not too long ago. We can check
Okay,
with-
we need to
can
check on that and see if it's something
Yeah,
that the
with
college
both-
credits would
with
actually count. I know, for instance, in Corpus, their academy is done directly through Del Mar, which is an accredited college, and those are a college, full college
And
credit. So
there's an issue with that, because I was part of that one paramedic class that was enrolled. Still to this day, they won't graduate me for paramedic.
are you
there's-
talking about here in Laredo?
They're saying that I'm missing hours.
Okay,
So it's not a full, coming out, because in the medic, actually, We'll carry, depending on the classes that you have, we'll carry an associate's with it, which would complete more than the 60 hours. But they're still stating that I just have my certification, not my license. So, and I've tried to do it, and they've agreed to it, and still to this day, I haven't been able to graduate.
And
So
that's with
that's what I'm
with the
saying,
school?
there's, and they even like that, even though I was enrolled in it, they said that there's a fee to move over those hours. I'm like, I already have those hours. They looked through it, well, it's because you're still missing hours. So, with LC.
I think overall, like if you're able to convert 60 hours, right, to be able to get this master certification, so me paying for this certification, I'm a better firefighter, right, just because I have 60 hours, right? So I think it's just converting them. I think I guess it doesn't really, I guess, really get to the fact that this person's gonna become a better person on the line. I think, like you said, the chief is able to implement trainings, classes. He's already able to do that. He has done that. So I think, if he specifically thinks that we should get other certifications or, do certain classes or certain trainings out in the field, I think that's the way it should be implemented, right? For these individuals to be able to become better individuals out on the line.
Okay, well, we can continue to discuss this. There's information that I'm gonna obtain, and if there's any information that you can provide, that would be helpful, and we would consider any counter proposals. We'll move on to 20.12. This is a proposed addition on the review and appeal of a promotional examination. I have a glaring typo that I thought I had fixed.
Yeah, I saw
And the
that.
reason, it actually says police department, is supposed to be fire department. The reason it was like that is because it's the exact same language that we pulled from the Laredo Police Department, or the Laredo Police Collective Bargaining Agreement. This is, and I'll read through it first. 20.12 is a review and appeal of promotional examination. A, on request, each eligible promotional candidate for, and it should say the fire department, is eligible, and I'll correct that and send a new one, from the fire department, is entitled to examine the person's promotional examination and answers, the examination grading, and the source material for the examination. A candidate with a raw score without seniority points of 65 or higher may appeal within 5 days to the commission for review. B, the eligible promotional candidate may not remove the examination or a copy of a question used in the examination. The reason for the addition of this is to expedite the appellate process and make it more efficient and more meaningful. It seems that there are instances where firefighters who got an extremely low score and missed a majority of the questions are appealing each and every question, where you come up with a person appealing of 50 questions, something like that. And that is an extremely long process and requires a lot of time and work from the board commissioners or the commissioners from the Civil Service Commission, who volunteer their time to do this, and it is pretty difficult to get them. They all have jobs and other personal things, so they volunteer their time to do this as it's an appointment, and to it takes a lot of work. Do you have anything else?
No, that is about it. It's just to control that you have a guy that missed 30, 40. If he's gonna appeal every single question, it's not gonna make a difference because you have such high scores at the very top. So 65 seems like a reasonable number to call it at. It's the practice also that the police department is doing. It's worked well with our commission, and it would be a benefit for us to try to also incorporate into the fire department promotional process as well.
Yeah, and it's understood that, yes, the process is lengthy depending on the ranks. You have a lot more individuals. Our assistant driver rank, I believe, almost 100 people.
And we're
tested
not
out.
talking about the
And,
number of
yeah.
people, we're just talking about when
But
somebody is
The
actually
the only thing
appealing.
that this, and I didn't think it would have been an issue up until this current promotional cycle. This limits to who can appeal. This current promotional cycle had an error on the book that was used. So if somebody had the wrong book that was or a test was produced off of a wrong book that was put out, there's a chance that they get the majority of that one wrong.
So if I may address it, we've had a meeting, the Civil Service Commission Director and myself, we had a review of it. And as a matter of fact, it was the third edition, it was the revised, that was the key to that one. We also asked, and they said that the only difference, we asked the editor of the book, what was the difference? They said that it was 2 charts that were in the revised version, and it was, those 2 charts were not used in the testing material. So we are aware of it. Moving forward, we've discussed it. So 31 days prior to any more promotionals, we will assure that there is no revisions to any of the additions. So this was the first time it's happened. And also, I don't know if any of your members might have been aware that the revised edition was out, but no one ever made mention of it as well. But it's a learning experience for the city of Laredo, and we are going to correct it moving forward. 31 days prior to any promotionals, we will make sure that there is no other additions out, revised or updated from the test.
That may be something that, because it's no fault of the firefighter taking the exam, obviously. It was an error in the book. That may be something that the Civil Service Commission can address in their rules.
We can certainly look at it, and also when the orders were placed, there was no mention, we saw the invoices to it, and there was no mention that there was a revision to that edition. So even at the order point, so even the editors didn't tell us, the fire department was aware, the Civil Service Commission, so it seems that all 3 areas, it just wasn't caught, it was an honest mistake on everybody's level.
And it's true, when we brought the issue up to the chief, Joaquin was here, we're like, you know what, in reality, this is out of your control, because you put out the list of the books, whether
March
right,
10th.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
The list was put out, the members bought it, some of the members accidentally bought the revised version, not realizing that that's not the version that was listed on the book. And even then, in reality, so it is out of the control of both sides. But I'm saying that would limit, in that case, like I say, it's never happened before. But for the future, there is a possibility, and where that would limit it to these people, like, hey, you just got the wrong book, I'm sorry, you can't appeal it.
We would consider any proposals that would address that, an exception to that, or that particular issue. Because the intention is not to cover something like that up or allow something like that to happen.
I think majority of our members, I think a majority of the guys, if they get a really low score, they usually don't appeal the questions, right? Usually you have the guys that actually put in the time to study that appeal the questions. So I don't see.
And actually, the current practice right now is you can't just, I'm gonna appeal 1 through 10 because I got 1 through 10 wrong. You literally need to put down your
valid argument.
Your valid argument, addressing a page number, addressing a chart, addressing a paragraph, and of course, if there's nothing there, and you just put, just because, that's automatically gonna get thrown out. So the appeals process, has, and actually Civil Service has addressed this issue, because before in the past, it was, I'm gonna appeal 1, 10, 15, 20, and however many, whatever number I got wrong, and we would present it right there if we had an argument or not. If we didn't have an argument, we would withdraw the appeal. If we had the argument, we'd step up there and actually read. So that issue has already been addressed in the past. And like Arani said, it's just a fact of, normally people are scoring, below 70s, unless they're at a 67, 68, 69, especially on cases where they found things within the chart, within the book, where, hey, there's a discrepancy here, this is not the page, or this is not the chart that was used, whatever the reason being, where that would get to it.
Okay.
Now, in the history of it, the last time that 5 points have been given out, the most I've ever seen is 3. There has been in the past, but of course that was under a different appeals process of the actual appeal itself. Now it's being addressed more accurately, and it's expedited the actual appeals process.
Okay.
And understand that the commission is a volunteer basis, right? I think they volunteer their own time to do the work, and we appreciate that from them. But I think within any volunteer basis, event or committee that you're involved in, if you don't have the time to do it, you usually don't volunteer, right? So I think the individuals know what they're getting into. I think it's an important process that each member has a fair, I guess, process to be able to appeal their certain questions, and if they feel that they're, have specific questions that they were wrong or that they could have been right, I think we should allow those members to, I guess, voice their concerns.
Yeah, and so the bar right here is set, at without seniority points, a 65 or higher. So it's not it's a pretty low score that, the threshold's low. And, if the practice is that, that if you made a low score, you don't appeal it, then what we're looking is to formalize it to prevent, any abuses of the process, of the appellate process that had happened before, and to, make better use of the commissioner's time and their volunteerism in this aspect.
Okay.
Okay, we were going to, we wanted to see if you had any discussion or a counter proposal on Article 29, the health and life insurance, with regard to the
We have,
dependent funds.
we have been talking about it, I believe we did
Again,
do.
those are, I guess, to be able to look at the numbers accurately, I think that's really tied into, I guess, compensation as far as, wage increases and stuff like that. So I think it's something that, as far as, us being able to tie it in at the end, to see how much, our members would be willing to increase and how much would we increase with the retirees. I think, currently the fund is healthy and it will be healthy for the end of the year. So I think it's something that we've been talking about, but I think it's something that we can't really put something, I guess, in writing without knowing, as far as compensation for firefighters.
Okay, we currently have our proposals on there that have an increase in the base wages.
Mhm.
And currently, we have an ad pay proposal that leaves the ad pays the same for the current members and creates a different structure for new members. So we were hoping to get some information on that article and a counter proposal from that article, because although the fund may be healthy right now and it may be healthy at the beginning of the next fiscal year, it dips down into the negative, the way that it's going
1 year, 2, the first year.
in the first
after
year.
the contract.
Yes, and I think it's something that's in writing in the contract, as far as even if this contract
city-
is
the
signed
city
out, we're still able to
members.
come to the table on it and work the numbers out. It's not something that the city would be liable for. I think we come to an agreement whenever that fund goes into the right, it's something that we're responsible for. But I think when it comes to, we have proposed counter proposals, and we haven't received anything as far as wages or anything like that.
Okay. So on the ad pays, we had been asking for, we're working on our end, and we had a discussion about it at the end of the session. Did you have any other information or any other
Well, actually,
counter proposals?
There was a
or-
request for information before we moved on to any type of counter proposals or anything. If we can get a breakdown of the 55 million that's being used as an earmark on monies, what's included in that 55 million?
I'm sorry, what, 55 minutes?
When you're,
On the cumulative
On the
register?
estimated cost?
yes,
On the cumulative,
well, because your original number is 55 million, isn't it?
so we're talking about the cumulative purchases that we gave you?
Yes.
Okay, and that's actually actual expenses that we have.
Expenses as in salaries or expenses as in
Salaries,
total?
mainly salaries, that's all, mainly salaries. The only thing that we added in there with the salaries was the amount that we put in for the retiree, which is $1 million, about $1 million that it's on the very top. Everything else is salaries. It's salaries and benefits. Ad pays, and benefits. It's all personnel costs.
So when we're talking specifically on Article 15, why are ad pays and benefits put into there? If
It's a
if
total
it-
cost for the city. That's a total cost for the city, how much we're expensing.
Yes, but we're not asking for pay raises on our ad pays. We're asking for pay raises on our base pay.
Right, but your
So
ad
the-
pay is a percentage
Yeah,
of
but
your
it-
base pay,
but
so
you're
any
adding- yes,
increase
but
in the
it's being-
base
it's
pay is
being
gonna
added on top of that.
automatically.
It's being added on top of that.
Yeah, well,
Because our salaries that we've expended on this last fiscal year was 40 million. So I wanna know where the discrepancy of 15
Do
million
you,
came
do you
from.
have those numbers?
Yes.
So that we can see what you're looking at?
It's regular salaries. This is coming out of a general ledger, and it's a subset of all regular salaries. So 40 million is what we pay on regular salaries.
Regular
mean, just
salaries
the
and
base pay.
incentives.
That's the base pay.
No,
That's
that's
the base
incentives also. That's incentives also.
Regular pay and ad pay.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So if we ask for a benefit and you're using the calculation of 40 million, which is still 15 million less than what your original number is, why is that being included when we're talking about specifically Article 15 and Article 16? Article 15 only reflects base pay.
We're talking about two different things. The cumulative ratios that we gave you is a cost that the city has.
No, I'm talking about your original number that you're projecting 1.5 on.
The cost,
Okay.
our cost.
Yes,
Because-
because, okay, I understand what you're saying. The additional thing is that when we do a percentage cost, it also affects pension. So yeah, you take regular salaries, but I also have an impact
Yes, but
on.
there's another line item for pension
No,
that you've already put.
Yes, but okay, and Roxy, what happens is when we do a percentage on a base pay, that base pay, there's other benefits that are used that are tied to that.
Mhm.
So for example, if I have $100
Mhm.
and that's my base pay, then on top of that, I have to pay pension of 20%.
Mhm.
So for every dollar there, I have to pay 20 cents.
Mhm.
So we have the Social Security, Medicare, we have the workers' comp, we have several benefits that are percentages.
Mhm.
As my base pay increases,
Mhm.
there is a cost on that.
Mhm.
So for us to get the estimated cost of a percentage increase,
Mhm.
I have to account for every increase that is happening because of the
Yes, except
1%.
you're reflecting it that as new monies that's going to our pay raises.
Yes, because if there's an increase in your base pay, there's also an increase in all those additional obligations that the city pays on your behalf.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
We're not trying to calculate what the net effect of a 1% is on your pay itself.
But in reality, that's what's happening with 55 million when it's less than 40 million of our base pay.
Yeah,
Is
but
that-
here you
is that
would
not
have
correct?
to, okay, here you would have to do a subset
Mhm.
of the overtime,
Mhm.
the social security.
Well, except the overtime,
insurance,
we've already talked about, then that's not to be included in here because that's beyond our control.
But there is an impact to the OT.
Yes, that's what
because
I'm
of-
saying. That's on your half. That's not on ours.
Right,
So
so,
we're not asking for a raise on our overtime, budget.
but you get it, because there's an increase on the base pay.
And
So-
why,
so
why,
we're
why
trying-
are,
That
why
is
are
a
we in?
result of the percentage ad pays.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, but why, on your original form that you put here, you removed it, recognizing that that doesn't fall under here. But now you're still putting it in on our base pay. So in the original one,
Let me try to understand. I removed it from where?
where your original proposal was,
Uh-huh. We're talking about initially, the one that we had
Mhm.
removed was because the lump sum only affected 1 year, so we removed the other years.
no, you removed the overtime pay in the middle.
Well, I removed it because we were trying to,
And see, even
We're
on that,
trying to-
even on that
Can you
graph,
can
yes,
he
but
finish
what I'm
explaining?
trying to say is that even on that graph, it was reflecting overtime and in the base pay, in two scales. So where it's inflating the numbers. So I'm trying to, again, I'm trying to get a breakdown of how do we get to 55 million when it's actually only less than
okay.
40 million?
The first thing is the 55 million was from the cumulative. And now you're talking about the costing spreadsheet where we're trying to cost out the contract increase.
No, your original, it's not the cumulative overall. I'm talking about your starting number was 55 million.
Oh, on the costing sheet?
Yeah, because
Okay, I think
1.5
let's do
1.5
this.
That's
I
the same
think
thing.
we need to be looking at the same documents because we're looking at two different
Can I go?
documents.
Can I see? So you're looking at the cost. And you were looking at the total package, right?
Of new
Total-
monies,
yeah,
is that what
the
you're
No,
talking
I'm
about?
starting from
Yeah.
number one.
Right. I got you.
Because we can do it from any proposed, from 1.5, 325, 275, all the numbers are there. It reflects that that percentage of 55 million is where you're getting to. Why are we going off of 55 million if that's not our base pay salary?
Because that was the total cost of everything that we're calculating that is gonna be new for the contract. The uniform allowance, the additional manpower.
No, sir,
That original one
your
was,
original number.
which original number are you talking about? Because we've done like.
Because
4
you
or
didn't
5.
put it here, that's why I'm asking, where did you get that number from?
So,
Because here,
so before, I know,
It's
before we go
simple
on,
math.
we have updated the costing sheets as we went through. So I think first we need to identify which costing sheet that you're talking about so that we can all be on the same page and looking at the same numbers.
this was the original one you gave to us, right?
Okay. Do you know when that was given?
I just
You
pulled
have
it
that
up.
one?
Yeah,
I'm
that's what
trying
I'm
to
saying.
figure out where you're going, so I found.
That's what I'm
the
saying,
same
like,
thing.
thi-
Yes,
we're in agreement that this was the original one that was given to us,
correct,
where it included overtime ad pays.
Yes.
Right? But you just told me that in this calculation includes overtime and ad pays. So even on this one, when you say you removed it, you didn't remove it, it stayed in here. Is
No,
this not
the-
right? Because
that-
we can do simple on just year one. 3.25 times, 3.25% of 55 million is 1.787. That you're stating is what would increase our base salary. It's not gonna increase our base salary by 1.7. So I wanna know where the numbers are coming from.
Can I answer this?
Mhm.
The top section on the top does not have overtime. It only has base pay and ad pays. So there's no overtime component in that section on the top, correct?
Mhm.
The initial one, what I was trying to do is anticipate the overtime because there's gonna be an impact. And it was about approximately 472,000. I actually removed it
Mhm.
because I wanted to be conservative. And I removed it from the equation completely.
Mhm.
But there is a component that when we have an increase, whatever overtime is, there's gonna be an increase as well. So that 472 I had in the original one, I was trying to come up with that number, but it fluctuates so much from year to year, especially since we're spending more overtime on the years. And we're projecting to be spending more money in overtime in the next fiscal year, 2 or 3, because of the shortage of the firefighters that we have, which is the academies that are coming in. I
That's-
removed it from in there, but in reality, if you wanna look this number, I really should put it back in there because it's gonna have an impact on our overtime. So either base pay goes up and overtime is worked, that higher base pay is higher, the hourly rate, and it's gonna be more overtime. So it was approximately 472,000 that we had in there.
472,000.
Yes. On the
Okay.
original, the one you just quoted me on year 10/1/22, there's 472,000 that was estimated, is gonna be the impact alone because of the overtime, because of the base pay. On the percentages that we're talking about back then, 3.25, which was your proposal back then.
So again, where are you getting the 55 million from?
69 million.
No, sir. I know, you're looking at,
So that's the one.
you're talking
telling me
about the cumulative here,
Isn't it?
right?
Okay, let's see, what does it say?
I'm
69?
talking about the original number here.
We're at starting point.
3 yeah, the starting
3.25%.
point, you're starting at 55 million. Why are we starting at 55 million? Or we have proof here that it's 40 million with ad pay.
I'm sorry, what 55 million?
Sir, 1,787,500 is 3.25% of 55 million.
Actually, no, divide the 1,785,500 by 3.25, and what does that give you?
Why? I'm not asking for 3.25
Because
of
the way I
178.
determine it is based on a percentage increase. I have a projections software that I plug in the numbers.
Yeah, but we can do simple math.
Right, we can do simple math. But
The
you-
problem is, it's not simple
Yeah.
when you're trying to increase the base pay and all of your ad pays are a percentage of your base pay. So even though you're just saying you're increasing the base pay, that is not simple math, and it's not just true that you're affecting only the base pay.
Yes,
You're affecting the base pay and
it's a,
the ad pays as well.
this 40 million includes ad pays.
But
So
that
where's
does
the-
not include, as I understood, it does not include all the other benefits that the city pays on your behalf, based on your base
Yes,
wages,
but we're
which
negotiating in
includes.
Article 15 base pay,
Okay.
Right,
not everything together. So we use
Well,
true, if we use
how-
true numbers,
How does an increase in base pay not affect your percentage ad pay? Explain that to me.
he
How
said it's
does not
included. He said that in
It's
these,
included
in these
because
calculations,
it affects it.
in these calculations, it includes
Yes,
overtime.
it does. No, not
No, I'm sorry, not
overtime,
overtime,
ad pay.
ad pay.
Yes.
So.
I'm
if-
telling you, how does, I want you to explain,
When I-
how does
when
an
I asked for-
increase in the base pay,
Mhm.
when your ad pays are a percentage of your actual base pay,
I understand, ma'am.
how
but
does that not increase the ad pay?
If I ask for one, if you give me 1%, if you give me 1% in raise, does that give me an 11% on my paramedic pay?
No, but
Okay,
it,
that's
but
what I'm
it's,
saying.
but it's
He's adding-
it's
it's
a
adding
higher base pay
afterwards.
that now your 10% is
Yes,
based
but you're
on.
adding it afterwards.
Mm.
It's being added afterwards. That's why the original, your starting point is at 55 million.
I don't-
That's not our salary.
I'm not starting with a 55 million. I'm starting of what 1% costs me or costs the city to do. 1% is approximately $550,000. So if you're taking 40 there, right?
Mhm.
40 million. What is 1% of $40 million? $400,000. 400,000, but then I have an increase in Social Security Medicare.
Mhm.
I have an increase of 20% in pensions,
Mhm.
and then I have an increase on workers' comp, because workers' comp is based on a percentage. So once you add those up, you
Mhm.
get to 550 million.
Okay.
And I'm picking up vacancies as well, because I need to budget worst case scenario, I need to budget worst case scenario. That's where the 1% comes from. The 550,000 is 1% of all that amount. You cannot get only base pay and say $40 million, my cost is 400,000. Because there's gonna be an impact for Social Security and pension.
Okay,
The
can we
more
get that
com-
breakdown completely?
Sure.
Because like I say, I mean, your starting point from what it actually is, it's.
That's the
a
actual
large-
money that the city pays on your salaries based on the base pay, which is a percentage of your ad pay, and that's the problem with the percentages.
Mhm.
Because you can come in here and say, oh, we're only gonna ask for 1%
And-
increase on
and-
our base pay.
And Roxy, let me clarify. The major thing there is that you're picking up 20% on the
Mhm.
pension, another 1.45. Workers' comp is about 5%. You're throwing in about another 30 to 35% on top of that $40 million.
Mhm.
So when you get $40 million and you take 30% of that, it's a lot of money.
Okay,
So
so if I.
that's part of that 1%. In other words, when I give you 1%,
Mhm.
it's costing us 550,000. I cannot just do it based on the base pay, because then I would just give you 400,000.
Mhm.
And there wouldn't be an increase in the pension, and there wouldn't be an increase in anything else.
So what you're saying to me is I'm getting paid $83,000.
Mhm.
I'm getting paid $83,000 and you're paying the pension besides that.
Exactly.
Mhm.
An additional. Make it at 100, if I'm paying you 100,000,
Mhm.
I'm giving the pension $20,000. On top of what you're getting, of course.
Mhm.
Yeah, of course, you're putting in 7% of your money.
Okay,
So it's costing us, just for base pay and pension, 120,000
7%.
15%,
You're putting in
on your
50.
side,
15%.
50%, sorry.
You said
That's what I-
Regular price.
Yeah, because we don't get the 2-to-1.
Sorry.
Because we would get 2-to-1, it'd be a lot higher.
Yeah, but the benefits are different.
Yeah, the
for
benefit,
city.
we get a 2-to-1 benefit.
Well, yeah, that was argued last time that the city employees don't have that luxury. Like, well, it's a completely different benefit. But you want to compare apples to oranges. I
And
mean,
the city employees don't have the salary that this organization has.
So that's why we're not comparing that.
well, I mean, Ms. Cabello did. We didn't. We know the difference. She did. And she brought it up.
So what are we doing today? Like, are we just rehashing?
No, I
mean,
want to see.
We'll get you that information.
No, and if you believe that the 550,000 is incorrect, show me how it is, because I can show you how. I'm
But it's
doing
not
the numbers.
550,000. Your starting number is 55 million, sir.
No, sir. The starting number is the same starting number. The thing is, I'm taking into account pension, workers' comp, social security, and that's why it's an additional cost. That's why you're just taking the number and reversing it to you're backing into the amount, and you can't do that because there's other components in my 550,000. So that's why you can't do that. Because like I mentioned, I cannot just say it's gonna cost me 400,000 for 1%, because how do I cover workers' comp, pension, social security.
All required to be paid on your behalf,
Mhm.
which have to be budgeted, which would require new monies.
Mhm.
So that's why that's integrated into the cost. Because that's what it costs the city.
Mhm.
The city can't just say, okay, 1% of your 40 million is 400,000, here it is. The city still has legal obligations and
On
other
their budgeting
obligations.
aspect of it.
Oh, on yours.
On your-
It's
to
a
pay for your
contractual-
behalf, it's a
contractual
benefit.
Obligation.
Yeah.
We have it in our I mean, it's in our contract, we have to put in 20.10% on all your wages.
I guess if we could get a breakdown of that cost, Mr. Flores, and I guess, we can move on to, I guess.
I was saying, like, I wanted to see those numbers.
I'll be happy to show them to you.
Mhm.
There's nothing like that.
So based on those numbers, we can get those, and I don't know how quickly we can, I don't know if we're gonna have to, I need to visit with Jesus and see how quickly we can get those to you. Do you anticipate having any counter proposal on the ad pay other than not changing it?
On the ad page, I know we spoke about it last time, I don't know if y'all were gonna price out I guess, the verbal proposal that we had. We still haven't, finished with it yet specifically, but
Okay.
I know it's something that we were looking at. I know we talked about it last time. I don't know, I know Mr. Flores, was maybe, oh, Mr. Spencer.
Just for the record,
Well,
though. Okay.
I don't- Sorry about
Renamed
that.
him.
Renamed it.
I was just gonna keep on saying it.
Just call it-
I was looking for Mr.
I said, he's not talking about me, so go ahead.
If you say Mr. Green, we'll know who you're talking about.
Mr. Sparta, I know last time we mentioned maybe increasing it an extra 10% on the incentives, and maybe incentivizing the guys to give up the percentages. I don't know if it's something that y'all had time to look at as far as numbers and costs, but it's something that we're still working on and typing it out.
I
Okay.
did not cost the additional, I think the way I understood it was, for example, we have EMT, it's 10%. So what you were saying, instead of 10, it would be 20%.
No,
No,
well, I
take
was
the,
doing-
he was saying, take the monetary amount, right? With,
Well,
A
with
like-
monetary amount
like
of
if
what,
we
an
have a-
additional 5% to every,
So if you had an
Every
EM,
step.
like a paramedic, he gets a 10% right now, right? You would increase that to 15%, lock in that amount, whatever it would give you. And let's say that certification, if the guy had an advanced firefighter, they get an 8% currently. So then you would factor in at 13% and get that set figure and do it for each rank. And see, the only times that you would move up is if you move up
It
the
would be
ranks.
done by
specifically.
rank, not necessarily getting an average and everybody would get the same thing.
no.
No, it would
it's-
be done by rank.
Whatever, yeah.
whatever you're getting,
specifically.
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, if it'd be easier,
So-
just do it across the board, but not everybody's gonna get the same.
Well, and
It's
some
still-
of them might be getting a little bit less than what they're making.
Yeah, so I
Especially
think,
like when you get to captain and above.
yeah,
Because
so
I think if I recall,
We would have to meet at going that route, and just to save time, we would be too far apart, because the meeting in the middle of that, to be able to give that up, we looked at it, yeah.
what about EMT, more or less 70,000, they get seven grand, you
Mhm.
know? When you look at the top, it's about 15. So if you want to start it at minimum so nobody loses, you would, I'm thinking a lot here.
Yeah.
You would still have to do it by rank.
You would
because
have to
it's
do
not-
yeah, it would specifically have to
Well,
be.
and
by rank.
and actually, it's not by rank structure, it's by rank of the incentive.
Yes, because the incentive is based on whatever rank you have, or if you want to simplify it, it's
Well-
based on whatever you're making, what your base pay is.
And
So your base pay, it's actually, your base pay is 70, you get 7,000.
Mhm.
And in actuality, you get more because whatever hours you work in OT, that's an
So
additional amount.
I think it's, we, with the cities, argued that, you pay about a 17.5% average, right? Whenever, with the incentive. Might be a little bit higher depending on overtime, right? I don't know how much that 17.5 moves up or down, right? I'm not sure.
When I took
If
the
it's factored.
average, I think I took everything.
Oh, so it's already, the 17 points are already factored in with the overtime, okay.
And because
I didn't.
I
wasn't
did
sure.
it from the cumulative, when you look at, the cumulative report is just, the total that we paid during the year, has nothing to do with budget or base pays or anything, it's just what we're paying. So what I think I did is I looked at total pay divided by at pace, and so it's picking up everything.
It's already picking it
Yeah.
up, okay. I guess we'll have something, hopefully in this meeting proposed on that, as far as maybe writing it out, but that's something that we have been looking at, I guess, just maybe so y'all can, I guess, I don't know, prepare.
Yeah,
on-
what
on
we'll
your
do
end,
is,
Mrs.
is
Costa?
we'll work on costing it out, and we'll, during a caucus, we'll let you know what the time's gonna look like in order to get that cost. And the reason I'm asking is because I know that you're asking for a counter proposal on the base pay, but as I've said before, from the city's perspective, we only have a limited amount of money that we can work with, and so we need to look at the entire economic package. So if there's gonna be an increase to the ad pays, that's really, that's gonna affect how we, you know, how we are gonna deal with all the economic issues that are on the table. So that's why we're wanting to have the discussion, so that we can have an educated and informed, you know, be able to be educated and informed, so we can caucus and figure out where we're gonna go from here. And if you can provide the ad pay, that could move things forward on our side a lot more, and we can at the same time be getting the costing and the information on the categorization of where those costings came from. Okay. Then, the next big thing, on Article 30, I know that there was an issue about the legality on, from your side, there was an issue brought up about the legality of the citizen board members and them being objective in this, putting a condition on that money. I had requested the information from the pension attorney that had that, and I didn't get it yet. So if I could get provided that, so that I can set up a conference with that attorney and discuss that with them. I don't know if they'd be willing to put that in writing, so that we can do a legal analysis of it. Working on that article as well. We placed, and I actually have one, I need to print out during the caucus. I'll print out the verbal article, so that you have the written article that we proposed verbally on the table at the last meeting.
I know you revised that one, right? That's the original one?
Yes.
You think I can get a copy of that? And then you had costed out with,
Yeah, I take that one.
it's kind of.
Let's see. And then just, we're gonna take a caucus. I think that we're gonna take a caucus after this to work on the information requested. And what we're working on our side, and Article 4 and Article 31. Those were the city's proposals. I think 31 was no changes, and I think 4 was also, oh wait, let me look. I misspoke.
31 was disciplinary action.
Oh, 31 was disciplinary action. That one added that one, I misspoke. 31 added, I think, an extra step on an informal attempt, or no, which one was that?
31,
I think
we
we
proposed for the employee that has the option to exercise his or her wine garden guarantee, right?
Oh, and so we did
And
is
you
we
removed
proposed
it
no
and no
changes, right?
changes.
Because it's established by case law and the legal issues anyway. So we proposed that one, and then we proposed on Article 4, we did a counter proposal on September, the last meeting, September 22nd. Let me pull that one up. And I think we had addressed, we provided a counter proposal where we had addressed the issues that you brought up. And I think that you had added something else, and we just proposed to include the 4.1, 4.2, and the changes to 4.3. So we ask that you consider that for a possible tentative agreements on Article 4 and Article 31. And then I'll look at what else we have outstanding.
Well, on Article 4, we come back with after talking about it, we propose,
Oh, you have a
changes.
counter proposal right here?
Yeah, to leave the wording as is.
Okay, we'll take a look at that.
They're gonna print it on 31, right?
I
The
thought we had
proposed no
already,
changes?
I think
Did we
that,
do you?
no, I think we gave you the counter proposal on the
We proposed no
22nd.
changes.
Yes,
On which one?
31.
We gave a counter on that one. We countered with no change. Was it that?
Okay,
No,
let
as
me,
far- The one we just did is Article 4.
yeah, on 31, you did the counter with the Wine Garden and the Garrity, and then we countered with the no changes.
Yes.
Because the Wine Garden and Garrity are established case law that the city must follow, and the firefighter has those rights. And the cases may be superseded by precedent, or so the case law may change, but the case law is what the case law is, and I don't think that there's ever been an issue with that. And it is clearly established, the Wine Garden, that union representation is afforded to the firefighters at their request, and Garrity, that you can't self-incriminate yourself, and if you're required to, in the face of disciplinary action, to cooperate in an investigation, that any information you provide will not be used in any other investigation other than that one administrative investigation. It can't be used in a criminal investigation. It can't be used in any other, an HR investigation, anything that's separate and apart. So that's pretty clear established law, and I don't believe it needs to be in the actual contract.
So I'm saying, so we're leaving 31 as is?
Yeah, we propose to leave it as is.
So just to print that out and TA on that one.
Okay. Okay, and then I need a caucus with my team.
Speaking of the pension,
Oh, yeah,
chaps, they were asking about
the pension attorney,
the pension attorney's response to,
contact info or a
Oh.
response to the legality issue on the citizen members of the board.
I know I brought it up to the administrator. I know he called him, and he said he was not advised to create such a policy.
I know, that's why I'm asking for his contact information, so
Oh,
I can,
I personally don't have it as a.
right, okay, well, we requested it, so if we can request it again, so
Okay.
that I can visit with the pension attorney. Do you know if there's any kind of legal opinion he'd be wishing to, he'd be willing to,
Like I said, I didn't talk to him.
okay. You know his name?
And
His last name is Lowe, right?
LOWE or LODE?
Lowe, double L E.
LOWE? LOWE.
No me acuerdo.
This one's LOWE. Okay, we're gonna caucus and,
To come back at,
it's 1:43. Let's maybe come about, let's visit about 3:00, 3:00 and see about where we're at, see what time. I anticipate anywhere between 3 and 3:30. Okay. Okay, we're back from caucus. It's 3:29 PM, September 29th, 2023. I have prepared Article 31 as a tentative agreement.
Yeah, this one. I'm gonna put this one for-
Oh,
Sorry.
yes, here we go. Okay, and this is proposed Article 31 for tentative agreement with no changes. The only difference, and I think y'all had included this in your proposal as well, is just the the numbering of 31.1 and 31.2 of the paragraphs. It wasn't numbered in the initial, in the current contract, but all the language remains the same.
That's correct.
Okay. We're gonna sign it? Yep, okay. This one? Okay, and as far as the costing that was requested, or the information requested on the $55 million and the costing, Jesus is working on that. I don't know that we'll have it available by the end of the day, but we're gonna continue working on it and we'll email it to you as soon as it becomes available.
Sure.
But it should be before we anticipate it before the meeting, the next meeting on Thursday, yeah, so. And just so, we haven't discussed it, but we're still planning on having the next negotiation sessions for
6 and 7.
Thursday and Friday. I think the Thursday is gonna start about 1 or 1:30. I need to look at the schedule, and then the Friday will be all day. So since we'll be here, we can start early at 9 if necessary. So just put that out there before I forget to talk about the dates. Did you have any proposals or anything to place on the table?
Yeah, the counter proposal to Article 20 that you put out.
Y'all need it, I have an extra one.
No, that's fine.
Putting one in here.
Oh, I thought, okay, maybe I don't.
I will give you an extra one for Ms. Cabrera.
Oh, yes, we put that in her
Okay.
folder.
On Article 20, we proposed, the original proposal was made, and your counter proposal, we looked back at it and we decided to pull our proposal and leave as is. We're proposing to not change the current language in the contract.
This is the same.
The same as current. Yes.
Okay, and in your initial proposal,
It was,
it was
The initial
on,
proposal was for, as far as the appeals, that to be able to, I guess.
Do it within
three
60
mon- within
60 days or the-
Something like that, yeah.
yeah, we just had an issue with that because we can never control what the board makeup is gonna be. Okay, so the proposed is just to leave as is.
We had also proposed that to have a designee.
a designee from
president of the appeals.
Oh, that's right,
Yeah.
okay.
On that one, we went and looked back at your counter proposal, and some of the things that, I guess, that worried us, was, I guess to start off on it was, I think the 10 points on it was, I think it was giving somebody 10 points, even though it doesn't really equate to really being a better firefighter at that position, right? I think we already give all our members up to 5 points, and I think it's enough experience if that person really applies himself to really study or, so I think they already have an extra 3-point advantage. As far as, as we talked in length earlier about the whole requirement for firefighters to go back to college and stuff like that, the burden that it would cause. So taking all that into consideration, we just propose just to leave it the same.
Okay. Somebody have any questions? No? Does the union have any other proposals?
at the moment, no.
Does the union anticipate being able to have any kind of proposal on the ad pays today?
Not today.
Okay. Do you anticipate having it before Thursday, maybe?
We're working on it.
Okay. Because that makes it, the problem is it makes us difficult to cost it and work on our counter proposals as well, because we need to know how the ad pay is gonna look and, or what the proposal is gonna be on the table. So, and I think we've already discussed it, but, we don't know if that's gonna be what the proposal is. And we can cost it based on what we've discussed. And that's, and I asked Jesus, and that kind of he has to go through, because we're trying to determine what would actually show the estimate, right, rather like an average rather than per person, because it tends to be a pretty tedious and difficult costing, and we want to make sure we get it right, but we are working on it and we've started. So we'll be doing that in the meantime.
I guess to be more time effective. I mean, we understand how this is a package. Basically, one affects the other. if we can visually here be working on it, in person instead of counter proposal, we're just going back and forth on, shooting our shot in the wind. We know that one's gonna have effect on the other, so we can work on it together on both articles to see where we're getting at. I think we'll make more headway like that, other than trying to figure out one and then come back to do the other.
Right, I think that the reason that we're asking for this information is because from here on out, my vision is, we need to get to the big meaty items that are difficult. And we know, and we've set on the table that this is gonna be a pack, it looks like a package deal. So our vision of how this is gonna work is that we're gonna put package proposals on the table from here on out, because they all do affect, especially the economic issues will affect each other. And that's what we're working on. And so, yes, I agree that we probably need to start talking about package proposals from here on out. We still do need the ability to caucus, because I need to caucus with my team, and, be able to discuss what those packages are gonna look like, how the counter packages are coming up. But now that we're gonna start doing package proposals, I think things can probably, since all those are gonna be intertwined, or, the pieces are gonna be put together, that things can move a little bit faster. So we're working on putting our package proposal. That's why we were hoping that maybe we could get some input or a proposal on the ad pays. We do have verbally what you're thinking about, and we'll cost that. Do you want us to use that as a possible proposal?
It's possible. I think the only one that really, I guess, that I didn't really specify, I know like captains, like the tiers of captains, right, and district chief, there's different tiers and deputies. So as far as the costing, you might, I guess, have a question as far as if you look at it, which one we're looking for, not to do one specific for each one. as
For
far as
each step increase,
each
basically
step- Just doing that highest increase on each proposal, but.
I can do it.
But-
I'm gonna go to detail, like, I know how many are in each step, so.
But we will work on it, and if we get it done earlier, hopefully within these next couple of days, I can go ahead and email both of you.
Absolutely. Email both of us, because what we're doing is we've started working on the costing and the things that you've requested, including the ad pay, proposal that we've talked about that might be on the table. And so our goal is not to wait until Thursday, because,
To work on.
to work on them and.
Gather information.
Right, gather information. I also, there's a bunch of other things I need to reach out to Mr. Chapa and make sure that I get the pension attorney, so we can work out that issue. There's a lot of different little issues that we're gonna try and work out before we sit back here on Thursday and
Now,
make it really productive.
Concerning the results of the voting for the pension, do you need Chapa to forward that to you? or
Actually, that
could
would be
you-
very helpful if he could email them to both.
he would-
That's what I'm saying, like, you would have the result of the voting.
Jaime normally will let the board members know how the result goes, so. But I think I think it'd be better if he emails it to both of us.
Okay.
All right, I mean, however you want to do it.
Yeah, email both of us, because sometimes our meetings cross and I don't get to talk to him until the end of the day, and I just want to make sure that we get everything touched on that we requested. So,
But we'll work on
Might
that,
just get
hopefully.
that by the end of the day, because I think they're counting as we speak.
Yeah.
she will
They
get
should
that.
be either finished voting or counting currently. And according to what we were told from the last meeting, however long they take to count it in reality.
So we're pretty quick.
okay, and then from what I'm hearing on Article 29 on the insurance fund, what I'm hearing is that y'all are willing to work on that. You just wanted to see what the economic package proposal would look like?
We just need to go over a little bit,
Yeah.
I guess, and just make sure everything on it is correct. We already have mostly everything already, I guess, teed off on it. So,
Okay.
We'll
Right.
be ready to present something on that.
Okay, but what I'm hearing is that something, y'all are working to address the issue, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
Okay,
I mean, we know that the problem is there, and we're responsible for it.
Okay.
We're not looking for it to go in the red, at any point, right? Or just to be able to fix it at that minute,
Sure.
So no, we're working on it, and it's something that we're gonna address, and it's something that we've already been looking at and are probably getting ready to propose.
Okay.
Hopefully by Thursday.
So, and I just wanted to put that on the table so it's clear for everybody, so that we also take that into consideration when we're doing our package proposals, so. Okay. So, we don't have anything else to present today because we have a lot of background work that we're working on. And we're gonna utilize at least the next, I'm probably gonna be here we're gonna probably be here for another, over an hour to just, continue our team meeting, utilize the time that we have today. And then we'll continue working, but let's make an effort to keep in touch, before, and try to get some of the little issues resolved, on one-on-one with that way when we sit at the table, we'll be talking about our package proposals and hopefully move back and forth and hopefully maybe come up with an agreement soon, so.
Hopefully.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all I have for today, and I thank you for your time and the stuff that we did today. We got some TAs done, we've got some movement, and we'll get the information. I'll make sure to talk to, or try to get a hold of the pension attorney, and we look forward to finding out the results of the pension vote, so.
Thank you.
Okay, thank y'all very much. And we're adjourned at 3:45.
Go ahead, Marie.